Okay, so now we're going to look at the unit 113 task 4. It's about using hand tools and it is about chiseling. Now this task it's not difficult, although if you get your marking incorrectly to start with, then things can go very wrong. So during this task you will have to cut a through mortise, through housing, sorry, a mortise, a recess and a stop chamfer. Right, as you can see on the picture, you've got some measurements all here. Now please be very careful. The first thing you do with your piece of wood, the piece of wood I'm going to give you will be all plain all round, so it'll be all prepared for you. You must do all of your marking before you do any manufacturing. So do not use your cutting tools before everything is marked up. So you start on that corner and you measure 40 mil, you make your line using your square, you measure 20 mil, you make your line using your square, you go back to 40 mil here and you make your line to make your mortise. Your mortise will be 60 mil width, so you make your line here. Be aware that this measurement is nothing to do with those lines, it is this one. So as from this 20 mil line here, you measure 50 and you make that line. This will be that corner. You then measure 150 and that will become that corner and also that line as well for the recess. You come back 50 mil to mark this one. You can see that the mortise is 12 mil in width, so you're going to use a 12 mil mortise chisel and it is absolutely center to that piece of wood. So when I say center, it's from here to here, nice and center. It says equal and equal from both sides. This recess one is slightly different. It's not equal in the width of the wood. It's equal from that line, not that line, that line. You can see the same distance here and here. So what you got to do before, so you know you've got those two lines here, but you do not know about those two. The first thing to do is to do that chamfer. Now the chamfer is 10 mil at 10 mil. You measure from the 50 mark that you've got. Using your marking gauge, you make a little 10 mil line and a 10 mil line here. Once you got that line, you can then center your recess. Once you get your center, you can put your 15 mil on each side, which will make a 30 mil, and then you've got your square for your recess. Once your piece of wood is all being marked up, ready to go, you must not forget to mark the mortise on the other side. So using your face on edge and your tri-square, you're going to line up the lines for the mortise because this mortise is going right through. Okay, so we look back at the criteria, and the criteria, as you can see, is just a pass on this one. So you've got to make sure that you do the housing first and stay within the 1 mil, and again it must not be oversized. The housing depth has got a tolerance of plus or minus 1 mil. So you start with this joint. So using a turn-on saw, you're gonna cut your line to the depth required of 15 mil, and then you're gonna put your piece of wood in a vise, and using a chisel or mortise chisel, you're gonna clean that housing. Now remember, you cannot be oversized. So the 15 mil, the 20 mil must not go oversized, so you must say 20 mil, and you are plus or minus 1 mil for the depth. So we will accept 14 mil or 16 mil. Once you've done your housing, you're gonna go on to the mortise. So again, using the mortise chisel, you're gonna go straight through. So you start on one side, going halfway through, you turn your piece of wood around, and then you make your mortise the other way, so you don't do any breakout. Remember to follow what I instructed you during training when you make a mortise. If you look at the assessment criteria, you must chop the mortise right through to the same figures, not oversized again. So if it says 60 mil, you cannot be 61, that will be FL. You are allowed 59. And then we go back to the mortise. The mortise width and the length must be consistent. I will try my turn-on to make sure that it fits nicely. Do not bruise your mortise when you chop it, and no breakout, especially no breakout. Make sure you turn it around to get a nice clean cut. Once your mortise is done, you will then go onto the recess cut. So be aware here, with a very sharp bevel edge chisel, you're gonna clean your cross cuts like this. With your bevel edge chisel, you're gonna mark it and mallet it slowly. As for along the grain, my advice to you will be not to put your bevel edge chisel on the line, but slightly on the inside, leaving a mill. So use the bevel edge chisel, leaving a mill along the side, because it's along the grain, you may break it out or go in, and you don't want to do that. So slowly you start to remove up to a 4 mil depth for the recess. And once you finish that, then with your chisel you can go back to your line and do a really clean cut, which will be 30 mil. If you look at the criteria for the recess must be to the dimension, not oversized again. So please ensure that they are 30 mil by 50, not oversized, or that will be FR. The recess must be to the depth required, which was 4 mil. On this, they will allow you a plus or minus 1 mil. So we will accept 3 mil, 4 mil, and 5 mil. Anything over or under this will be a fail as well. Finally, you're gonna do the stop chamfer. Now the stop chamfer, it's if you got a very sharp chisel, it's absolutely fine. What you start with, and what I like to do, is to start with those cuts, which will be at 45 degrees. So you can use a mitre square to do your marking at 45 degrees, following your 10 mil line that you have done with your marking gauge. You start by cutting with your chisel slightly away again, so don't leave a little bit of your line, so you don't clean it straight away. You can always come back to it and do a nice finish. Once you've done your 2 cuts, your chisel will take off the 2 corners that way. Once this is done, you will, using the chisel, you will just clean up your chamfer, and when this is over, you can just finish those 2 mitres really nicely. Again, we come back to the criteria. The stop chamfer, you've got plus or minus 2 mil in length and a parallel of 1 mil. So looking at the criteria here, we will allow 10 mil or 11 mil or 9 mil. We've got 1 mil tolerance, and for the length, he says 150 mil. We will allow 2 mil tolerance. And that's it. Once you finish this, come and see me. We will mark it, and hopefully you'll get a good grade. Thanks.